The sky above Valora burned like liquid fire. Blue lightning cracked across the clouds, and the ground shook as if the planet itself was crying. Cities were collapsing. Towers of crystal and steel fell one by one. The alien world had never faced such destruction. Far above, inside a damaged orbital station, a human named Ethan Cross stared through the cracked glass of his control deck. His heart pounded as alarms screamed around him. Every screen showed red warnings. Planetary core overload. Evacuation failed. Surface loss, 78%. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and whispered to himself, "Not yet. I can still save them." Ethan wasn't a soldier or a hero. He was just an engineer from Earth, sent to the Galactic Union as a repair tech. But today all the trained experts had fled. Only he remained alone, surrounded by fire and metal. Through the glass he saw Valora's surface glowing like lava. Millions of lives below were seconds away from being erased. His mind raced. There was one way to stop it, but it was forbidden. The celestial stabilizer, an ancient device locked away by the Union, could repair the core's energy lines. But if it failed, it could destroy not only the planet, but the entire system. The voice of the AI crackled through static. "Warning. Activating the stabilizer violates Galactic Code 74. Unauthorized use is punishable by—" "I don't care," Ethan shouted. "Override safety protocols."
"Full access now."
The AI paused. Confirmed. Manual override engaged. The lights dimmed. Power surged through the floor. Ethan grabbed the handles of the control core, his skin glowing faintly from the energy flowing through him. The console hissed, smoke rising from its surface. He gritted his teeth and adjusted the stabilizer frequency. The energy storm outside began to twist, spiraling into a vortex above the planet. On Valora's surface, two alien sisters, Lyra and Seren, clung to each other as the skies darkened. Lyra was a warrior, strong and proud. Seren was gentle, her bright silver eyes filled with fear. They watched the clouds split open, revealing a light, pure and golden, falling from the heavens like a star. "What is that?" Seren whispered. Lyra squinted. "It's coming from orbit, from the human station." The ground trembled, then slowly calmed. The red glow faded. The storms began to break apart. Wind turned into silence, and for the first time in weeks, Valora saw sunlight again. High above, Ethan collapsed to the floor. His systems burned, smoke filling the room. The AI's voice returned softer now. Planetary core stabilized. Energy grid restored. Estimated survival, 92%. He let out a shaky breath and smiled weakly. "We did it." But then came the silence, no cheers, no celebration. Just static. His communication lines were dead. Power reserves critical. The stabilizer had drained everything. "AI," he whispered. "Emergency beacon." The AI's tone was grim. "Transmission failed. You will not survive re-entry." Ethan looked through the viewport one last time. The world below, glowing blue again, looked peaceful. He smiled faintly. "At least they will." Then everything went dark. Hours later, Valoran rescue ships found the remains of the human station. The debris floated quietly in orbit, glowing faintly under the twin suns. Among the fragments, they found Ethan, alive, barely breathing, encased in emergency cryostasis. His body was burned, but his heartbeat was steady. When he opened his eyes days later, he found himself in a golden hall surrounded by tall, alien figures. Their skin shimmered with patterns of light. The High Council of Valora stood before him. "You broke the law of the stars," said the tallest elder, "but you saved our world." Ethan tried to sit up. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," said the elder. "Only you did." A deep echo filled the chamber as an ancient tablet was placed before him, etched in silver symbols that pulsed with power. "By galactic law, when a world is saved by one outside its race," the elder continued, "the savior must be honored through the bond of service. 2 of our own shall serve the one who risked everything." Ethan frowned. "Serve me? It is not a choice," the elder said calmly. "It is tradition. It is law." From behind the pillars, 2 figures stepped forward. Lyra, her armor shining, eyes full of pride, and Seren, her delicate hands trembling as she looked at the human who had saved their home. Ethan stared, confused. "Wait, this can't be right." "The bond begins at dawn," the elder said. "Their lives are now tied to yours." The council left. leaving only the echo of footsteps and the sound of the distant wind. Lyra crossed her arms. Don't think this makes you our master, human. Seren lowered her eyes. The law binds us now, even if we don't want it to. Ethan looked between them, two strangers now bound by something none of them understood. The golden light through the temple window flickered, casting their shadows together across the floor. He whispered to himself, "What have I done?" And as the twin suns rose above Valora, the first light of dawn shimmered across the planet that he had saved, and the law that would soon change all their lives began to awaken. The golden halls of the Valoran Council glowed like sunrise, but for Ethan Cross, they felt like a cage of light. He stood surrounded by alien guards, their silver armor humming softly, their bright eyes fixed on him. He still couldn't understand it. Yesterday he had been a mechanic trying to save lives. Today he was the center of an ancient ceremony he never wanted. Across the room, Lyra and Seren stood together, both dressed in ceremonial robes of deep blue. Lyra's stance was sharp, proud. Her arms crossed, her jaw set like stone. Seren, on the other hand, looked fragile and nervous, her hands trembling as she held a glowing crystal orb, the symbol of the binding law. Ethan's voice echoed in the silence. "I told you I don't want anyone serving me. I didn't save your world for this." The High Elder lifted a hand. His voice was calm but heavy. "Human, our laws are older than your species' first breath. You saved Valora from extinction. By the law of the stars, service must be given. To deny it is to dishonor our ancestors." Lyra's eyes flashed. "Then let the ancestors be dishonored. No one should be forced to serve." The elder frowned, but Seren quickly stepped forward, bowing her head. "Please, Lyra. The law will not bend. If we resist, they will punish him instead." Ethan looked between them, shocked. "Punish me? For refusing help?" The elder nodded. "You broke one law to save us. You will not break another." Two guards approached, holding silver bands that shimmered with living light. They placed them around Lyra's and Seren's wrists. The bands pulsed, connecting them by thin threads of blue energy that arched toward Ethan's chest like faint lightning. He stepped back, uneasy. "What's happening?" Seren's soft voice answered, trembling. "The bond is forming. It links our life energy to yours. Until the law is fulfilled." Lyra glared at the light. "I don't need a chain to remind me who I am." The elder raised his staff. "At dawn, the bond completes. From that moment, your hearts will beat in harmony. Your pain, your fear, your death, shared among all three." The words hung in the air like a curse. Ethan's chest tightened. He could feel a faint throb, 3 heartbeats instead of 1. When the ceremony ended, the guards led them to a smaller chamber. The walls shimmered like liquid glass, glowing faintly blue. Ethan sat on a bench, rubbing his temples. "This is insane," he muttered. "I didn't come here to rule anyone." Seren knelt beside him, her eyes gentle. "You don't rule us. You just carry our bond. It's not slavery, not exactly. It's survival. Our world believes it keeps balance with the one who saved it." Ethan looked at her, surprised by her calmness. "And you're okay with that?" She gave a small, sad smile. "Okay? No, but I understand it." Lyra stood by the door, arms crossed, staring out through the glass. "You may understand it, Seren, but I don't. I will never bow to a human. Law or not," Ethan sighed. "Then don't. I don't want anyone bowing to me." She turned sharply. "You think it's that easy? You think we can just ignore the bond? The law watches everything." Before Ethan could respond, a sudden sound cut through the air, a deep hum, low and alive. The crystal orbs on the wall flickered. The blue threads of energy glowed brighter between them. The bond was waking faster than expected. Seren gasped, clutching her wrist. "It's too soon." The connection, it's starting before dawn. Ethan felt heat burn through his chest. The energy crawled across his skin like static. Lyra stumbled, her breath sharp. The air in the room pulsed with light. "What's happening?" he shouted. Seren's voice cracked. "It's reading your soul. It's learning you, your memories, your fears, so it can link us." Images flashed in Ethan's mind. Earth's oceans, the faces of his old crew. The moment he pressed the stabilizer's button. And then, a shadowed figure, not his own memory. A human face, centuries older, surrounded by alien light. He gasped, gripping the wall. Who was that?" Seren's voice trembled. "The first human who made the law." The light faded as suddenly as it came. All three collapsed, breathing hard. The bond marks on their wrists dimmed, leaving faint silver lines. Silence filled the room. Ethan stared at his hands, shaken. This isn't just a law, is it? There's something else behind it. Seren looked up slowly. There is. But if you want the truth, you'll have to survive the dawn. Lyra glared at the glowing horizon through the window. Then dawn will meet a fight. Outside, the twin suns began to rise over Velora, casting their light through the glass. The air shimmered as the bond threads flared once more, wrapping the three of them in a soft blue glow. The bond of service was no longer just words, it was alive. And somewhere deep beneath the city, ancient machines hummed to life, waiting for the human who had unknowingly awakened them. The twin suns rose slowly over Velora, painting the skies gold and violet. Morning light filled the crystal corridors of the palace, but Ethan Cross felt only the cold weight of what had begun. The faint silver marks on his wrist pulsed softly, alive like a quiet heartbeat that wasn't his. He stood by the window, watching the horizon. Below, alien cities glowed again, healed from destruction. The world looked peaceful. But inside him, something strange stirred. He could feel the others. Lyra's restless anger, Serene's soft trembling. Their emotions brushed against his mind like distant echoes. He whispered, "Is this what the bond does?" Behind him, Seren stepped into the room, her robes flowing like mist. Her silver eyes held both fear and curiosity. "The bond is still forming," she said softly. "By dusk it will connect completely. You will know us, and we will know you." Ethan turned. "I never asked for this." "I know," she replied. "But neither did we." Lyra entered next, her armor clicking softly as she moved. She looked angry but tired, like she'd been fighting ghosts all night. "The council is celebrating you," she said bitterly. "They're calling you savior of the stars. Statues, songs, prayers, while they chain us with ancient magic." Ethan sighed. "I didn't save your world for rewards," Lyra met his eyes. "Then maybe you're the only one who truly saved it." The air between them went still. The silence broke when a deep vibration shook the floor. The walls glowed brighter, then dimmed. Seren looked around nervously. The bond's energy is spreading faster than normal. It's unstable. Before Ethan could speak, pain flashed through his chest. A blinding surge of light burst from the marks on his wrist. Lyra gasped, grabbing hers. Seren cried out as the energy connected all three of them in a circle of glowing blue threads. Ethan's voice cracked. "Make it stop!" Seren fell to her knees. I can't. It's learning us, our thoughts, our hearts." The room blurred. Ethan's vision filled with flashes of memory, but not his own. He saw Lyra's past. A battlefield of fire, her armor cracked, her father's voice yelling her name before vanishing into smoke. Then Seren's memories flooded in. A library of light, her small hands tracing forbidden books, her tears when soldiers took her away to serve the council. Ethan stumbled backward, breathing hard. "I can see you, your lives." Lyra gritted her teeth. "Then see this, human. See what your law made of us." She pressed her palm to his chest. The bond flared again, showing him the image of a vast hall filled with humans long ago, dressed in armor, surrounded by alien servants kneeling before them. And in the center of it all stood a single man, smiling, a human who looked eerily like Ethan. Seren gasped. "That's him. The first one. The first human who ever came to Velora." The vision faded. The three of them fell to the floor, gasping for air. The light in the room dimmed again, leaving only the quiet hum of the bond. Ethan's voice trembled. "That man. Who was he?" Seren whispered. "History says he came from a world beyond the stars before your Earth was even known. He saved Velora from war, and the council wrote the law to honor him. But something happened. The bond turned dark. Those bound to him never returned." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "And now they've made you his reflection." Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm nothing like him." Seren stood slowly. "Maybe not. But the bond doesn't care who you are. It only cares what it was built to do." As the day passed, strange things began to happen. Wherever Ethan walked, the palace lights flickered. Machines that hadn't worked in centuries turned on by themselves. The air felt charged, like the planet was watching him. Guards whispered as he passed. Some bowed. Others avoided his gaze. Word was spreading across the cities the humans' bond had awakened. Some saw it as a blessing, others as a curse. That night, Ethan sat alone by the fire, trying to understand the visions. Seren approached quietly, holding a small data crystal. I found this in the old archives, she said. It talks about the first human. The records were locked, but the bond let me access them. Ethan took the crystal, scanning the holographic text. His blood ran cold as he read the last line. If the bond awakens again, it will not serve, it will rule. He looked up sharply. Rule? Seren nodded. The bond wasn't made for service, Ethan. It was made for control. Before he could respond, the room's lights flickered red. A siren blared through the halls. Lyra burst in, sword in hand. The council's troops are moving. They're coming for you. Why? Ethan demanded. Lyra's expression hardened. Because the law says when the bond awakens, the world belongs to you. The sound of boots and energy weapons filled the corridor. Shadows moved beyond the door. Seren's voice trembled. Ethan, if they take you, they'll use you to rule every world connected to this law. He stood, his pulse matching the hum of the bond. Then they'll have to fight for it. Outside, the sun sank behind the mountains and the palace walls glowed faintly blue. The bond between them flared one last time that night, burning brighter than ever, and somewhere deep below the surface of Vylora, the ancient machines whispered in a forgotten human tongue, "The awakening has begun." The night was heavy with silence. Outside the palace, the twin moons of Vylora drifted through clouds like pale ghosts. Inside, Ethan cross-paced the dim corridor, his heartbeat echoing in rhythm with the hum of the bond that pulsed faintly. Across his wrist, he could feel Lyra and Seren somewhere nearby, their emotions flickering, like distant signals in his mind. Fear, anger, confusion. The bond had tied them together not just by law, but by something far older, something alive. Footsteps echoed from behind. Lyra appeared first, her silver armor splattered with dust. The council's soldiers are spreading through the lower levels, she said. They're not looking to arrest you anymore, they're looking to contain you. Ethan frowned. Contain me? Why? Seren stepped out of the shadows holding a glowing crystal tablet. Her eyes were pale with exhaustion but filled with quiet determination. Because they know what you are, she said softly. Or rather, what you might become. Ethan looked between them, frustration rising. I'm just an engineer. I'm not special. I didn't even want this bond. Seren handed him the tablet. You need to see this. He touched it. The tablet lit up, projecting a hologram in the air. An old recording, flickering and grainy. A human stood at the center, wearing old Union armor. His face was stern, his voice deep. I am Commander Auric Vale, first human of the galactic frontier. By the law of conquest and mercy, Vylora now falls under human protection. Ethan's breath caught. The man looked exactly like him. Same eyes, same jawline, same voice tone, but older, colder. Lyra's eyes narrowed. It can't be you, but he looks like your blood. The hologram continued, showing alien cities kneeling before him, warriors lowering their weapons. Behind him, two alien women stood in chains, just like Lyra and Seren. Their eyes were empty. Those who serve shall keep their world. Those who resist shall burn. The recording cut off. Ethan stood frozen, every muscle tense. That's not possible. I've never even heard of this man. Seren looked down. The archives call him the first human. He came here centuries ago before your Earth joined the stars. He saved Vylora from invasion, but then he used this same bond to enslave it. Lyra's voice was low and sharp. Your kind made the law to hide their control. Every few generations, the bond finds another human. It calls one who matches the first. Ethan shook his head, stepping back. No, I'm not his copy. I didn't come here to rule anyone. Seren's voice softened. Maybe not. But the bond doesn't care about your will. It remembers the DNA of the one who started it. It chose you because you are his echo. The air thickened. A faint hum ran through the floor, deeper than before. The walls glowed faintly with ancient symbols. Lyra touched the stone. He built this palace, she murmured. The first human, he built it to control the bond. Ethan clenched his fists. Then maybe we can destroy what he built. Seren looked terrified. No, you don't understand. The palace is connected to the planet's energy core. If you destroy the bond, you might destroy Vylora itself. Before Ethan could respond, a voice echoed through the hall, cold, mechanical, and ancient. Subject Eric sequence detected. Activation protocol initiated. Blue light streamed across the walls, forming symbols and circuits that moved like living veins. The floor beneath them vibrated as hidden machinery awakened after centuries of sleep. Seren gasped. It's recognizing your signature. The palace thinks you are him. Ethan's pulse quickened. Shut it off. Lyra drew her plasma blade, slashing at the glowing panel. Sparks flew, but the energy reformed instantly, brighter than before. Command accepted. Planetary authority transferred. Ethan felt the ground tilt. A rush of power surged through his body, flooding his senses. He could feel the heartbeat of the planet, the rivers of light under the crust, the hum of every machine. His vision blurred with streams of data. Seren cried out, "Ethan, stop! It's taking you." He dropped to his knees, clutching his head. I can feel everything," he gasped. The cities, the storms, even the people, they're all connected. Lyra grabbed his shoulder, trying to pull him back. "Fight it! You're not him." Through the chaos, Ethan saw flashes of Vale's memories, his voice commanding armies, his eyes watching worlds burn. The bond whispered his name again and again like a heartbeat from the past, Arik. Then silence. Ethan collapsed. The blue light faded. The machinery went still. When he opened his eyes, the world felt different. His skin still glowed faintly with blue lines, but his voice was steady. "I saw it all," he said quietly. "The wars, the lies, the law. He built it to keep humans above everyone." Seren knelt beside him. "Then you know why they fear you. The council believes the bond will make you rule as he did." Lyra's eyes burned with fire. "Then we'll make sure they're wrong. We'll end his law for good." Ethan nodded slowly. "If the bond was made by a human, then a human can end it." Outside, thunder rolled across the horizon as the twin moons dimmed. The planet trembled as if listening to their vow. Deep beneath Valora, in the forgotten control core, an ancient voice spoke one last time. "The second awakening begins. The heir has returned." Wind howled across Valora's silver plains, bending the tall crystal grass as lightning flickered in the clouds. Ethan Cross stood on the balcony of the ancient palace, his hands gripping the railing. The faint blue veins of the bond still pulsed across his skin, glowing softly in the night. He could feel the planet breathing beneath him, the slow rhythm of life itself. Every heartbeat, every pulse of energy from the cities below, it all whispered through the bond. It was too much, too heavy. Behind him, Lyra approached, her boots echoing on the stone. "You haven't slept," she said quietly. Ethan shook his head. "How can I? Every time I close my eyes, I see what he saw. Vale, the first human. The wars he started, the lives he took." Lyra leaned against the wall beside him, looking out at the storm. "You're not him. You proved that when you saved us instead of taking control." Ethan turned to her, his expression grim. "But the bond doesn't care what I want. It was built to make me become him." Before Lyra could answer, Seren entered the chamber, holding another glowing crystal tablet. "I found something," she said, breathless. "Something Arik left behind." The three gathered around the holographic projection. A recording flickered to life. Vale's face again, older now, his tone no longer proud but haunted. "The bond was never meant for control. It was meant for defense. The Valorans begged for protection and I gave it to them, but the council twisted it. They turned a gift into a chain." Seren's eyes widened. "So he didn't enslave them at first?" Ethan frowned. "No, the council used his technology. They made it law." The recording continued. "I built the planetary core to protect this world, not to rule it. But once connected, the bond feeds on emotion. Fear, anger, love, it all strengthens it. If it awakens fully, it binds not just lives, but destinies. The only way to end it is to destroy the core." The hologram ended with static. Silence filled the room. Lyra crossed her arms. "Destroy the core? That's suicide. The core is the planet's heart. Without it, Valora dies." Ethan nodded slowly. "And if we don't? Then the bond grows stronger every hour. It's already feeding on us. Didn't you feel it? The anger in the council, the fear in the people. It's all being drawn into the core." Seren bit her lip, thinking. "There's one more option. If we can find the origin chamber, the place where the first bond was made, we might be able to rewrite it instead of destroying it." Lyra gave a skeptical snort. "Rewrite the law of the stars? You're dreaming." But Ethan's eyes lit up. "No, she's right. Arik created the core using his DNA. If I carry the same genetic code, maybe I can change its command structure. If I can access the chamber, I can tell it to break the bond." Lyra frowned. "And if you fail?" He looked at her with a faint smile. "Then at least I'll fail trying to give you both your freedom." The sound of distant thunder shook the walls. Outside lights moved in the darkness, dropships. Seren's voice trembled. The council found us. Ethan stepped toward the window. Then we move now. They raced through the ancient corridors, their footsteps echoing off the stone. The palace's once bright halls now pulsed with red warning lights. Guards filled the passages, their weapons glowing blue. Lyra charged forward with her blade, deflecting plasma shots that hissed through the air. Go, I'll hold them. Ethan grabbed her arm. No one stays behind. Together they fought through the chaos, the bond between them glowing brighter with every strike, protecting, warning, guiding. It was as if the bond itself wanted them to survive. They reached the lower levels, dark tunnels of forgotten technology. The air buzzed with static. Seren guided them to a massive metal door carved with ancient human and alien symbols. This is it, she whispered. The origin chamber. Ethan pressed his palm against the scanner. The bond flared blue and the door opened with a hiss. Inside, a vast sphere pulsed with golden light, the core's heart. Streams of energy circled it like living rivers. Ethan stepped closer. It's beautiful. And terrifying. Seren placed a hand on his shoulder. Once you connect, the core will read your intent. But be careful. If it senses fear or anger, it will consume you. Lyra stood beside them, sword ready. Then don't give it fear. Give it hope. Ethan closed his eyes and touched the core. Light exploded through the room, blinding and alive. His mind filled with voices, Arek's memories, the cries of the Valorans, and his own heartbeat echoing through time. He whispered, No more control. No more chains. Let this bond protect, not enslave. The core trembled. The golden light flickered, shifting toward blue. For a moment it seemed to obey until a deeper voice spoke from within, ancient and cold. Change denied. Law eternal. The chamber shook violently. Sparks flew. Seren screamed as the floor cracked beneath them. Lyra grabbed Ethan, pulling him back. Ethan, it's rejecting you. He shouted over the noise. Then I'll make it listen. He slammed his palm against the core again. The bond on all their wrists flared so bright it seared the air. The core screamed like a living thing. Outside, the skies turned black. Storms swirled. Across the planet, lights flickered as energy surged through every tower. Every home and deep beneath the surface, something vast began to awaken, something older than the law itself. The core roared like a living sun beneath Vylora. Energy spiraled upward, tearing through the ancient chamber as Ethan, Lyra, and Seren were thrown to the ground. Blinding blue light poured from the cracks in the walls, and the air hummed with a power that felt both divine and deadly. Ethan gasped for breath, his hands still burning from the energy that had surged through him. The voice of the core echoed through the chamber, deep and thunderous. Law eternal. Bond unbroken. The servant must not defy the savior. Lyra staggered to her feet, her armor scorched, eyes blazing with fury. I am no one's servant, she shouted, slashing at the glowing circuits around the chamber. Sparks flew, but the energy instantly reformed. Seren grabbed Ethan's arm, pulling him back from the shaking platform. It's trying to absorb us. The core feeds on rebellion. It grows stronger when we resist it. Ethan clenched his jaw. Then we don't fight it with anger. We fight it with control. He looked at his wrist, where the silver bond burned brighter than ever. The pulse matched his heartbeat, faster and louder. He could feel both women through it, their pain, their rage, their fear. He reached out through the bond and whispered, Focus on me. Trust me. Lyra froze mid-strike. Seren took a shaky breath. The glowing marks on their wrists began to synchronize with Ethan's. For a moment, the chaos slowed. The storm of light around them softened, responding to their unity. But the reprieve didn't last. The chamber doors exploded open, and armored soldiers from the Vyloran Council Guard stormed in, their weapons charged. The lead officer pointed at Ethan. By decree of the High Council, the human is to be contained. The bond must not reach completion. Lyra stepped in front of Ethan, her sword igniting with blue flame. You'll have to go through me. Seren raised her hands, her eyes glowing silver as ancient runes lit the air around her. And me? Ethan stood between them, his heart pounding. No more running, he said quietly. The battle erupted. Energy bolts sliced through the air, scorching the walls. Lyra moved like lightning, every strike of her blade leaving trails of fire. Seren summoned waves of shimmering light that bent the enemy's shots aside. The bond amplified them both, Their speed, their strength, their instincts perfectly synced with Ethan's. He didn't fight with weapons. He fought through will. Every time he focused, the air around them rippled, deflecting attacks, bending the storm to his command. The core's power flowed through him now, no longer fighting him but feeding off his determination. "Ethan!" Seren cried out as a blast hit the floor near her, throwing her off balance. Ethan caught her before she fell, the contact sparking another surge of energy. The soldiers hesitated as the three of them stood together, glowing like living stars. For the first time, fear flickered in their alien eyes. Lyra grinned fiercely. "Looks like your law didn't prepare for this." The lead officer shouted, "Activate suppression field!" From the ceiling, metallic arms descended, releasing waves of anti-energy. The glow around Ethan flickered. Pain shot through his chest as the bond began to tear. Seren screamed as the same agony rippled through her, collapsing to her knees. Lyra's sword shattered in her hand. Ethan fell to one knee, clutching his chest. "It's draining us," he gasped. "It's breaking the bond." Seren's trembling hand reached for him. "If it breaks, we die." Ethan looked up, eyes filled with fury. "Then we make it stronger." He slammed his hand into the ground. The bond symbols on the floor flared to life, drawing energy directly from the core. Light surged through his veins, then into Lyra and Seren. The suppression field cracked, then shattered completely. The explosion of power blasted the guards back, throwing them across the chamber. The air shimmered with heat and blue fire. When the smoke cleared, Ethan stood tall again, his eyes glowing the same golden blue as the core. Lyra and Seren flanked him, their bodies surrounded by faint halos of light. The three of them looked less like fugitives now and more like something divine. The soldiers retreated, terrified. But the core's voice boomed once more, deeper and colder than before. "The bond has chosen. The law is rewriting itself." The floor cracked open, revealing spiraling columns of light stretching deep into the planet's heart. Ethan turned to the others. "This world is bound by fear. The only way to end it is to rewrite everything." Lyra looked at him, her voice low. "And if rewriting it kills us?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Then at least we'll die free." Seren placed her hand over his. Together, the bond pulsed bright enough to blind the chamber. Symbols of alien and human script intertwined, fusing into something new, something alive. The core's roar turned into a scream, then a whisper, then silence. When the light faded, the chamber was still. The guards were gone. The air was calm. Lyra opened her eyes first. "Ethan," she whispered. He was standing in the center of the chamber, eyes closed, the golden glow fading slowly from his skin. He looked peaceful. The bond on their wrists shimmered once, then dimmed into faint silver scars. Seren gasped softly. "It's quiet. The bond, it's no longer pulling." Ethan opened his eyes and looked at them both. "We broke the law," he said simply. "But we didn't destroy it. We changed it," Lyra frowned. "What do you mean?" He pointed upward. Through the cracks in the ceiling, the night sky shimmered. Not blue, but golden, as if the stars themselves were rewriting their constellations. "The bond no longer forces obedience," Ethan said. "It connects worlds. Equal hearts, not masters and servants." Outside, the twin suns began to rise again over Vylora. For the first time, the planet didn't tremble under old laws, it breathed freely. But as the light touched Ethan's face, Seren noticed something strange. His reflection in the core's surface flickered, and for a split second it wasn't Ethan at all. It was Arik Vale smiling, and then it was gone. The dawn over Vylora was unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The twin suns rose over silver plains, and their light bent in strange, shimmering ways, as if the heavens themselves were trying to understand what had changed. The air no longer hummed with the ancient command of the bond. The planet was quiet. Ethan Cross stood at the edge of the palace ruins, staring toward the horizon where the core's energy once burned. The light was gone, replaced by soft mist and the faint whisper of wind. For the first time since he arrived, the world felt alive, free of the law that had ruled it for centuries. Behind him, Lyra and Seren stood side by side. Their silver bond marks were faded now, nothing more than faint scars that shimmered when the sun hit them. Lyra's armor was scorched, but her eyes glowed with new strength. Seren's robe was torn, yet her hands trembled with quiet awe. Seren spoke first, her voice fragile but full of wonder. "It's over, isn't it?" Ethan turned, smiling softly. The core is silent. The law is gone. Lyra looked skeptical. Gone or waiting? Ethan didn't answer. He could still feel something deep inside him, a faint echo of power like a heartbeat from beneath the ground. The bond might have been broken, but the connection to Vailora wasn't. It had changed. From the horizon, smoke still rose where the Council's strongholds had fallen. Without the law, their armies had lost command. But in the ruins of their order, chaos was spreading. Factions fought to claim power. Old leaders vanished. The people were free but uncertain. Seren looked to Ethan. What happens to us now? What happens to this world? Ethan stared into the distance, where the shattered towers of the Council shimmered in the morning haze. Freedom is never the end, he said quietly. It's the beginning of something harder. Lyra crossed her arms, watching him carefully. And what about you, human? What are you now? A savior, a god? He gave a small, tired laugh. Neither. Just someone who refused to follow an old rule. But the ground beneath them rumbled softly as if disagreeing. The wind carried a low hum, a whisper in a voice both alien and familiar. Auric Vale. Successor confirmed. Ethan froze. The name sent a chill down his spine. Seren's eyes widened. It's the core, it's still awake. The earth cracked open, revealing faint streams of golden energy crawling through the soil like living veins. The bond might have changed, but the core was not done with them. Ethan looked down at his hand, where a faint golden thread shimmered between his fingers, connecting to Lyra and Seren once more. It's not a command anymore, he said. It's communication, Lyra frowned. With what? He looked up at the rising suns. With everything. The energy pulsed again and visions filled their minds, fleeting images of other worlds across the galaxy. Planets under the same law, cities where humans and aliens once lived divided. The bond had been more than a Valoran curse, it was a system, spread across the stars. Seren gasped. There are others. Worlds still bound by it, Ethan nodded slowly. Then we can't stay here. Lyra stepped closer. You mean to leave? I have to, he said. The core changed because we fought it. But there are other cores, other laws waiting to be rewritten. Seren's voice shook. And if the others don't want to change? Ethan looked at her, his eyes calm and resolute. Then I'll show them what freedom looks like. A soft wind passed through the broken palace, carrying dust and sunlight. In that moment, the faint hum of the core shifted from warning to melody, a song of rebirth. Lyra rested her hand on her sword. Wherever you go, you'll need someone to watch your back. Seren smiled faintly. And someone to make sure you don't break the universe again. Ethan grinned. Then I guess I'm not going alone. They turned toward the horizon as small transport ships rose from the ruins below. Refugees, explorers, dreamers, all heading toward the stars now free of command. The galaxy was stirring again, uncertain but alive. Ethan placed a hand on the cold metal railing of the balcony, feeling the pulse of the planet one last time. You're free now, he whispered. Don't ever let anyone chain you again. The ground beneath them glowed softly, one final heartbeat from the core, as if answering him. Bond redefined. Law rewritten. Service replaced by unity. A soft light spread across the horizon, golden and gentle, touching every corner of Vailora. The people looked up as the message echoed through the skies, not a command, but a promise. No being shall serve another. All shall stand together. The suns reached their peak, bathing the world in gold. Ethan looked to Lyra and Seren. Ready? Lyra smirked. Always, Seren nodded. Wherever you go, the stars will follow. As they stepped into the ship, the engines roared to life. The skies above Vailora shimmered with the new constellation. 3 points of light forming a single symbol, a circle of balance, glowing faintly like a heartbeat in space. As the ship vanished beyond the clouds, the voice of the core faded into the wind, whispering one last time, the law was broken by the one who refused to rule. And in the endless silence of space, the legend of the human who rewrote the stars began.